Okay, here we are, 10 o'clock, and we're planning to go for 1 hour. Welcome everybody to this session of the EdgeRater Weekly Wrap, May 30th, 2015, and this is going to be all about getting started. And there are quite a few new users and people who have reconnected with EdgeRater over the last couple of weeks, and so this will be useful for everybody. And if you need a refresher, if you've had EdgeRater for a while, this will also be good for you. Maybe a bit basic if you're using EdgeRater on a daily basis, but you might find something here of interest. So, disclaimer: I'm not an investment advisor. I'm not recommending any stocks. I may hold positions in any stocks that we talk about. Backtesting has limitations, and all trading involves risk. Do your own due diligence. You've probably seen that many times. So today's agenda is I'm going to give a brief introduction for all the new people who I am. Then we're going to go into the basics of data, where it comes from, how to create a symbol list, how to get your end-of-day data, how to sort of append intraday data to the end-of-day data. And then we'll talk about templates. We'll talk about how to use a template, the 3 easy steps to run a template and produce a report. And we'll also talk a little bit about charting. So quite a lot to get through. If you have any questions, by the way, there is a chat box. You'll find a chat box in the Fuse meeting controls, and you can type a question in there. I'll look out for questions as we go along. I may not answer them straight away, but at some point I will try and get to all of the questions. And I think that's it for Fuse meeting controls. So I am a professional software developer. Have been for many years, and in my last full-time job I worked at Microsoft, which I left after over 5 years there. I left there in 2007. And the reason I left was I had this idea about a trading software program that was going to help with my trading, and I wanted to spend full time working on that. And I worked on that in my own time, and after a couple of years, I actually had a product that was in good shape to give to other people, or sell to other people and have other people use. And so I released EdgeRater in 2009, and it's kind of grown since then. We've gone through several iterations of the program, from the last version before the current unleashed version was version 5, and now we're in the unleashed version, and you'll see in the next couple of slides what unleashed is all about. Unleashed is a backtesting program. Well, all versions of EdgeRater were backtesting programs. Scanning, this idea of 3D scanning. Normally when you do scanning in a software program or on a website, you will find stocks that are hitting scan criteria for today, and they don't show you the historical scans. So this 3D scanning in EdgeRater allows you to put a scan criteria into it's actually in the entries and exits tab that you would do that, and run the scan, and it's going to show you not only the results for today, but for every single day, going back as far as the data you have in your symbol list. And it happens very quickly, and that was one of the original ideas of the program. Since then we've gone into more trading templates, and the list of templates in the system now is quite large, over 100, and growing every month. We'll talk about templates and how to run a template, but templates can do many and varied things. And really, I think most of the people spend so 80% of people spend 100% of their time, I think, in trading templates. And then the other aspects of the program you can get into, and it may take a little bit longer to get into those aspects of the program, but they're there if you want to go deeper. So trading template encapsulates trading ideas from people who are experts in the field. So many people write books and do seminars, publish articles in magazines, and these are the so-called experts. And what a template tries to do is to take an expert's idea, their system, their formulas, and put it into a template, so that as a user, all you have to do is take that template and run it. You may have to provide a few parameters to the template, but it should be a very straightforward process of just running a template. And the result of that is going to be a report that gives you whatever the template is designed to show you. It might be, for instance, a list of stocks that are meeting scan criteria. It might be a summary report of rotation, say group rotation or stock rotation within groups. Could be a percent change when you're trying to compare two stocks against each other and see how they're changing in percentage terms, all kinds of things like that. Or complete actual systems that have buy, sell and hold signals firing, and it shows you these signals in the resulting report. So on this chart, on this slide, the people that you see on the left, that's Gil Morales and Dr. Chris Kasher. Excuse me. And they've written several trading books. And in the template area, there's a category for Morales and Kasher that follows their trading rules and gives you signals and scans around those rules. Then on the right-hand side, there's that's Ron Brown and Ian Woodward from HDSI, and EdgeRater doesn't need to have HDSI in order to work, but it has a very nice tie-in with HDSI, and Ian and Ron are the voices and the gurus of HDSI, and they run a great seminar twice a year in Palos Verdes, California. Here's Jeffrey Scott, and he also runs seminars. He's a very a user of HDSI as well, but he uses thousands of other software programs too, and these are all sort of experts. And at the bottom here we have George Lee. Probably many people know who George is. Also runs various seminars around the country, and he has some templates in the system. He uses EdgeRater a lot, and we work fairly closely together to come up with some ideas and scans for his users and the people that follow his ideas. So some examples of recent templates that have been put into the system. The templates are released on a monthly basis. So we have already had May's release. We're coming into June in a couple of days, and then there will be the June release of templates. But here's some templates going back from some of the months recently. April, for instance, we had the in-play template, and that was something that didn't really come from a guru in the field. It was something that I also have ideas about templates, and that was one of my ideas. We'll talk a little bit about in play. We had this idea of chart replay mode, and that hooks in with many different templates, and it's kind of a feature of charting that works in conjunction with templates. That was in March. Jeffrey Scott's templates, he already had a couple of templates in the system to do with pullbacks and pullbacks within uptrends, and also within downtrends when you get a rally and then you're looking for continuation moves. And then in February and also April, we released the ABC up-down templates, which is a kind of a refinement on those other templates, and they are very interesting to look at. Probably not going to look at those today, but they are in the system. And then in December, we had some additions to George's category, and that was the candle patterns template. And we can do things in there like find inventory retracement bars and high close dojis and red candle highs and things like that. So the goal, as I said, let's get started. We'll get into the actual program. If this webinar is designed for people who are new to the system. Maybe you just recently purchased EdgeRater and you haven't actually done anything with it yet. Well, this will be a good way to get started. So at the end of this webinar, you will be able to create your own symbol list, download end of day data, update with intraday data, run any template, and work with reports. So that is the goal. And I'll just go through the last couple of slides, which are just resources that you can use, and you can rewind this video and take a look at these. But here's a shared folder location. I'm not going to talk about what it is now, but I might mention it as we go on. And here are some resources for other things like installation. There is a tutorial on data if you want to follow along with that tutorial. There is something to do with charting, and then there's an indication of where you can find other videos on YouTube. So having said that, let's close out the slides and get into the program. Alright, so here is EdgeRater. When you first run the program, you will see this view. The very first time you run the program, you actually will not have any templates. Templates are always listed on the right hand side in this template library over here. It's a panel within the program. Panels can be closed by clicking on the X over here, and it will collapse the panel down to the side. And you can click on the little tab icon and it will pop the panel back out again, and then use this dock icon up here to make sure that the panel always stays out. The same on the left hand side, you've got another panel. This is your symbol lists panel. Depending on the state that you last saved the program in, it could be closed, and so it might look like that. So you just have to click on it to put it out. If you don't click on the dock icon and then you click somewhere else in the program, it's not going to resize this middle area, so it's hiding some of the things in the middle. And so what you need to do is click on dock, and then it will put the content in the middle, actually in the middle of the screen. But they're just ways to give you a little bit more screen real estate, screen area when you're working with the program. And sometimes it's nice to completely collapse those panels and just be looking at the information in the middle. So the very first time you run the program, as I said, you won't have any templates in the system, and templates live over here on the right hand side. So what you have to do is take a look up at the top in the menu area. There are two menus. There's this home menu, and then there's this Edge Excel templates menu. So the important thing in the templates menu is to make a note of what the latest version is and what your version is. And then if they're different, instead of it being a green background here under my version, it will be red, which will mean that there's a later version available on the internet, on the EdgeRater website, that you should download, which you can easily do by clicking on the Get Latest Templates button here. And what will happen is it will pop up a little dialog box, and it will tell you what the latest version is and the release date of that version. It will tell you what version you have installed, and then it will give you an option down here to download and reinstall it. Now, because I already have the latest version, and I can see that because it's green, the option that I get down here is to download and reinstall. And so I might want to do that if I have accidentally deleted some templates or changed templates. Then by doing the download reinstall, it's just going to get everything again from the server. It's not that big a download, so you don't have to worry too much about that. It can process that fairly quickly, and when you click on that, it will just put all of the templates back into the panel on the right hand side again, and then you'll have everything in here that I have in here, which is basically the list of all of the templates. So that's the very first thing you need to do when you run the program. And also every month there'll be a new set released, and when this turns red, then so you run EdgeRater, you'll see that's red. You just want to click on Get Latest Templates. So that is templates. So what I want to do first, before we start going into using templates, is I want to talk about data. Obviously, without any historical data or stock prices, there's not much you can do in terms of analysis. So the very first thing that you really need to get an understanding of is data and where it comes from, and how to create your own symbol lists. Now, in this webinar, I'm not going to talk about getting symbol lists from HGSI software. Even though we have a great hookup with HDSI and it's a great way to get data, there are other tutorials on the website about doing that. But not everybody has HDSI, so this webinar is really just for everybody. So everybody who has EdgeRater should be able to do what I'm doing right now. So the very first thing to do when you're thinking about data is to click on the home menu area up here, and you'll see that in the home menu area you have a data providers button, and in the data providers, if you click on data providers, there's a couple of things that are related to data here. There's a symbol lists and the data providers, but the very first thing to do is click on data providers. When you do that, you'll get this data providers dialog box will pop up, and this is how you configure where your data is going to come from by default. And there are 4 options here. If you have high growth stock investor HDSI, that will be one of the options. Everybody will have the option for Yahoo and Metastock and ASCII files, but the majority of people, I think, would have, and by default is actually set to Yahoo. You'll see there's a check mark right here next to Yahoo, which basically means that whenever you create a brand new symbol list and you don't change the data provider for that individual symbol list, the data is going to come from Yahoo website, which is a free source of historical data. If you wanted to use any of the other providers as your default, you would just place a check mark next to that provider and then click on apply or OK. But I'm going to leave mine set to Yahoo and click OK. So that's setting up the default, and really the default is just going to help you when you create a brand new symbol list, because the new symbol list will be associated with that default provider. But each symbol list is able to get its data from different providers. Okay, so we've set that up. The next thing is, what about symbol lists? Well, when you first run the program, you're going to have on the left hand side a few lists in here. Maybe there's only 4 lists that are delivered with the program when you install the program, but it's easy to get others and create your own as well. So what you'll see is, I think everyone will find they have a list called sample data. So if you bring click on this drop down arrow, you'll see all of the lists that are in the system, and you'll find sample data. You can click on sample data, and what you'll probably see is that the to date does not go up to the current date. So the to date indicates how much data you currently have associated with each of those symbols in the list. I have this set to 5/29, which means that I have done an end of day update using yesterday's data. I did this update this morning, and that data came from Yahoo and was all fully updated last night by Yahoo. I think they normally have their data updated by about 7 p.m. Pacific time. So if you do an update in the morning, first thing in the morning, you're going to get the latest data, the end of day data for the last trading day. Okay, so when you first run the program, you'll find that the to date in your sample data only goes up to a prior date, somewhere probably in 2014 or maybe even 2013. But it's really there as a sample set of data, so you can start playing around with templates even though you don't have the most up-to-date historical data. But to get the most up-to-date data, to download end-of-day data, what you do is just click on this EOD update button. And what's going to happen, I'm not going to do that right now, but if you click on that button, it's going to go out to whatever the data provider associated with that list is and download that end of day data for every single stock in the list. So that would be the simple way to do the update. Another thing you can do here, and this is something that I often do if I'm just updating a single list, is I'll click on this edit button, which will bring up a dialog box which gives me much more information about the symbol list. So it's the first thing to see in here is that you have 3 tabs. All right, and this list is the sample data list, the one that we selected over here. The first tab is the symbol list tab, which is basically telling me what symbols are in the list, and it's giving me a description or the name of the associated with that symbol too. So that's the first tab. That's all it's really showing you. Also, it's showing you what the data provider is set to for this list, and this is where you can change the individual data provider for a particular list. And you would do that by dropping down this arrow here, and then you get the same choices you saw in the default provider, except this time you're just overriding the default for one list. But if you have your default set to Yahoo, first time you create a list, this will be set to Yahoo as well. The third tab along is where you can configure how much data you want to fetch for the list, and by default it's only going to get 2 years worth of data. The reason being that Yahoo data is an online data source, and so if you have that set to 20 years of data, it's going to take a bit longer to go out to the internet to get that data. Now you can do it, it's fine, and leave it running, but it's just going to take a few minutes more than if you have just 2 years set in here. 2 years is good for most things, but if you're going to look at some of the templates associated with seasonality, for instance, then you definitely want to have more than 2 years worth of data, because seasonality is going to have to look at slices of data going back in yearly increments. So you probably want to have at least 10 years worth of data for doing seasonality. Data snapshot is essentially telling you the symbols that you have in the list and also the amount of data that you currently have for those symbols. So Activision at the top of my list here, I can see that I have data from 5/30/2013 to 5/29/2015. And if I was to press this button over here, which is essentially the same as the end of day button over here, but if I was to press this button here, what will happen is it will go and download the data, and if there was more data to fetch than 5/29, at the end of the download you'll see this update to the latest data. Okay, and what also important to note that when you do an end of day update, it's not just going to update the very last bar or last several bars, however many bars you missed before the last time you did an update. It's going to go and download absolutely everything again. And the reason for that is because some of the data can be changed. There could have been a stock split which affects past prices. There could have been data problems that have been fixed by the provider. And so to just ensure that you have the latest, freshest and most accurate set of data, it's going to go and download everything again. Now it doesn't actually take that long. This list there's only 96 symbols in this list, so I'm going to just press this now. It is going out to Yahoo, and we'll see how long that takes to update. You'll see the progress bar going along the bottom here, telling me how, the symbol that it's currently downloading, and it's about halfway through now. It's going to finish soon. As soon as it finishes, I'm actually not going to see any changes here because I actually have the latest data, but if you didn't, you would see this. So it's now completed. It took 22 seconds to download those 100 symbols, and 2 years worth of those 100 symbols, and now the data is 5/30/2013 to 5/29/2015, which is exactly what I had before. Okay, so that's the data snapshot tab, and this is if you ever have an issue with data, you think that you are not getting data for a particular symbol, or you're suspicious about some of the data that you have, maybe you think there's an error in it, always just pop up this dialog box and you'll be able to see exactly whether the data that you think you have is actually downloaded. And the contained in section is going to tell you that information, because it will say right now it's giving me an indication for Activision that the symbol is contained in the symbol list, but and also in the data snapshot. And if you have problems, what you'll find is that the symbol will be contained in the symbol list, but it will not be contained in the data snapshot. and then obviously the snapshot dates will be different. So that is end of day data and the symbol lists that come with the program. Now you probably will want to create your own symbol lists or download symbol lists from the internet, or just build a symbol list within the program. So an area on your hard drive where the symbol lists are stored, the area is the I'm going to bring it into view here. It's under Documents, EdgeRater, and there are a bunch of subfolders. All of the EdgeRater files, your files that you work on, and data that's downloaded is all stored under the EdgeRater Documents EdgeRater folder. And the symbol lists are stored in this symbol lists subfolder. If I open that up, I'll find, here's my sample data symbol list. These are just text files. So I'll just open up sample data, which is the list we just looked at, and we'll see what that looks like. Okay, so it is basically one symbol per row, and you have symbol and then a comma, and then the description or the name of the security after the comma. You don't have to have the name. So if you wanted to just put a list together that had, you didn't want to bother typing in the name, or you downloaded from a website and it didn't have the name, that's fine. You just need one symbol per row. Now if you don't have the name, then when you look at some charts, it's not going to show you what the name is. So if you can get the name, it's always a good idea to put it in. But it's basically a text file. As you see, this symbol list does not have any data in this file itself. So that's what you could do is create a brand new text file, and I can show you an example of that. Let me go File. Yeah, so you probably have Notepad. So let me see if I just do Notepad. Well, I can say open with Notepad. I could go New File. Okay, so now I'm creating a brand new file in Notepad. And say I wanted to put two stocks in there, Microsoft, I'll say that's Microsoft, and Apple. Okay, and then I'll save that. Now, as long as I save it into that location, which is the Documents EdgeRater symbol lists location, all right, then it's going to appear inside the program. So let's go Documents EdgeRater symbol lists, and I'm going to save this as my I've already got my test, so I'm going to save it as May 30 test.txt, and I'll save that. Done. You'll see that that's now in this folder, May 30 test. And now if you come over to the symbol lists area over here and drop down the control, you will find May 30 test.txt is over here. And this shows highlights something important. Now I've selected the symbol list, the area below here is completely blank. Now when the area below is blank, it means that no data has been downloaded yet for that list. So I have two choices, as I said before. I could either just press the end of day update button, and I know the data is going to come from my default data provider, which is Yahoo, so I could do that. Or I could open up the file, and I can see that I've got Microsoft and Apple here. The data snapshot, I can see that I've got data in the list, but there's nothing in the snapshot, as I mentioned before, no from and to dates. I know that it's going to fetch 2 years worth of data, and I know the data is coming from Yahoo. So I could just, in here, just press the update data button. It's downloaded 2 symbols, 2 years worth of data, and once it's done the download, then this area starts to fill in with the actual data. So that's how you would get a new symbol list in. You could create a new symbol list in a different way by just pressing the new button over here. It brings up this dialog box again, but this time I'm creating a brand new list. So this time I'll choose maybe GMCR So that's Green Mountain. Press enter, and I could choose Netflix. Netflix. Okay. Data's coming from Yahoo. That's fine. 2 years worth of data. Now, if I click Update Data, it's first going to ask me to save that file. I'm going to have to give it a name. So I'll click Update Data. It's already put me in the right location. So I'm going to say this is my GMCR file test. Save that. Okay, and it's downloaded the data, and it's completed downloading data. This is a good way to do the create a new list. If you don't have that many symbols to do, you can type them all individually by hand. But if you have a lot of symbols, you know, you might have thousands of symbols from some location you've got those symbols from, then it's actually a lot quicker to open up the file in Notepad or any other text editor and just use that file instead. Put the symbols into that file. It's a quicker way to do it. Okay, so now you have data. How right? We also will, if the market was open right now, I would be able to apply end of day. I would be able to apply intraday data on top of this end of day data, meaning that it's going to create a bar which looks like an end of day bar, but it has the open, high, low, and close price for the intraday time frame, and it's 15-minute delayed. This data always comes from Yahoo, 15-minute delayed. No matter what your default data provider is set to, the intraday data always comes from Yahoo, and it's 15-minute delayed. It's free, but it's delayed by 15 minutes, and that's you know, that's just one of the things for getting this free data. It's actually useful for quite a number of things. You know, it's not, unless you're playing like by the moment, you don't really need to go down to the instant updates. So it works quite well. And actually, even if you have a large list, and I might have, say, 2,500 symbols, 8,000 symbols, I can press this. See the button here, Intraday Update button, which is the blue button on the right hand side of this menu area here. I could press that, and if we were running in the middle of the day, it would download. It could do 8,000 single bar updates in just, I don't know, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. It doesn't take that long, because it's only downloading one bar, and it's applying that bar on top of the end of day data that you currently have. That data, by the way, it's also important to know that if I did that, let me do that now. Okay, and you see what happened in the column here that says time. The time has now gone to 16:00, which is 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which is the close of the market on Friday. So before it said end of day, so you knew you had end of day data. Whenever there's a time in the time column, you know you have intraday data, and you know the time that data applies to. It's not the time that you press the button, but it's the time that the data was created. So it's 15-minute delayed. You press the button at 10 a.m., then this is going to say 9:45 a.m. in here. Okay, I think that makes sense. Yeah, the other thing to remember is, if you change your list, once you've got the list selected up here, and then you change it, and this the list that appears here is your active list. Even though you have a bunch of other lists available in the system, they're not currently active. The only active list is the one that's actually selected and showing the data in here. So when you change the active list to a different list, and then go back to your active list, oh, I selected the wrong one there, but if I go back to the active list, and I previously had intraday data for that list, and you go back to it, it will drop that last intraday update you did and just set you back to the end of day data. So you would have to do, if you wanted intraday data, you would just have to press the intraday data button again. So remember that intraday data is not saved in the system. It's temporary, and it's only going to be available for use in the system while you currently have that list selected. If you select a different list and come back, it's going to drop that intraday data, but still keep your end of day data. Okay. So then, if you want to just see what the data looks like on a chart, there's a couple of ways you can do that. You could just double click on the symbol itself over here in the list, and you'll find that a chart will appear. Came up on my other screen, but a chart will appear, and it's showing me, you know, what I clicked on. I clicked on Apple over here, so I could click on Microsoft. So now I could either click on it with the mouse, or I can use my key on the keyboard, and I'm going to just flip through the different stocks. I only have 2 stocks in this list, so I can't really flip through that many more. Let me go and select a list that has more than 2 stocks. So I'll select, I have a list here with 392 stocks, and now if I select, I can just, you can see how fast this updates. You can go through stocks very, very quickly. I'm just using my cursor key on the keyboard to the down arrow to go to the next stock. And I use the up arrow, I can go back up the list. So that's one way of navigating and seeing the data on a chart. Charting, I'm not really going to go into too much about charting in this webinar. There are some videos, if you look at the references I put up on the slides at the beginning, there's information about how to do charting. I'll just talk briefly about charting, in that in the chart window you'll see I've got a linear regression channel showing up on here, but it's possible you have your own chart layout defined, which would appear in this chart layouts tab, or there are some system chart layouts too. So one thing that has got quite a lot of information on is the squeeze layout. You'll find that under the George Lee layouts heading. And the squeeze layout doesn't have a linear regression line, but it has an indication of a squeeze occurring, which is the Keltner channels crossing inside or the Bollinger Bands crossing inside the Keltner channels, sets up a squeeze, and then you're looking for impulse moves outside of the squeeze as an indication that there might be a strong move coming. So that's the layout that you choose over here. So you can choose any layout, of course, and you can create your own, and you'll find out how to do that by looking at those videos. Okay, so that basically, I think we covered symbol lists, downloading data, data provider, intraday data, 15-minute delayed. Okay, so now in the remaining time, the next 20 minutes, we'll talk about templates. I'll close down the charting tab. So when you download new templates, you'll find on the right hand side, provided that you've got this little panel popped out like I mentioned before, you'll find the list of all of the templates. If you want to find out what's new, click on New this month, and that is a category. So I should explain this panel here, what the different things are. You see the icons, the orange, you see the orange, the red, blue icons down here, which I'm scrolling through right now. These are categories of templates. So I can click on a category, and what will appear in the area to the left of the category is the list of actual templates. Templates, when I click on the new this month category, I'm just seeing a list of the templates. These are templates, they're not really runnable templates, but they're just informational, telling me what is actually new in the system for each of the months. So if you were wondering, there was a certain update occurred and you weren't sure what happened in the update, then you just come over here, find the month of the update, click on it, and you'll see in the information area a list of everything that is new for that month. And the things that will appear in here will be the new templates, if there are new templates. It could be features, new features added to the program. That information will appear in here too. Could be a bug fix, something happened in the program that required a fix. They will be listed in here too. For instance, there's bug fix down here. But remember, these templates, even though you're clicking on them over here, they're not runnable, and they're informational only, the ones that are in the new this month category. Okay, so some people will look at this and they think, oh, I can click on now this icon over here and I can run this as a template. That's not the way it works. In order to run a template, you actually have to select the right template from over on the right hand side. Okay, now you'll notice when I select any one of these templates, let me move to a category that has the hot topics category, for instance. That has two templates in there. We have the in-play template, which we're going to look at, and then there's another template in there, the Larry Williams range scan template. So click on hot topics, you'll see two templates. Click on in-play, and we'll see the template displayed in the central area of the screen right here. The first page of the template that's shown is really the informational sheet of the template. You'll note down here it says template info. So it's just telling you what the template does, the title of the template, what it does, and in here there will also be, if there are parameters that you can put in the template to use with the template, they will be available and shown in this lower area down here. There's, with most templates, extra information. If you want to find out what a template does, then there's two things that you can look at. One is template info. Click on template info. It will open up a browser window on the website, and it will point to a post. And I've just clicked on it over here. And it's come up in my other screen again. Okay, so I clicked on that one, and what that's done is taken me to a YouTube video, which is actually a weekly wrap video, because that was the point, April 25th, 2015, when I discussed the in-play template. So these links up here are change. They will take you to a different location for the template that you've selected. So if you're not sure what a template is, or how to use it, or what its purpose is, click on the video help or the template info links at the top, and it will take you to information about those templates. A lot of people find that very, very useful. Definitely a good thing to know. Okay, so I was going to say I said before, there are 3 easy steps to running a template. So the steps are, first of all, select the template, which we've done in play. Secondly, select the symbol list, which we've done, the active list, weekly options. And then thirdly, press run, which I'm going to do right now. Okay, so I've done 3 things, and popped up on my other screen is the result, the report that's produced from running that template. A template, when you run a template, it produces a report, and the report now pops up in a separate window. It looks like an Excel file. You'll see similarities between looking at this report in Excel and looking at it within EdgeRater, because actually it actually is an Excel file. It's just you're able to view it within EdgeRater, and viewing it within EdgeRater gives you a lot more features that are applicable for trading, such as you can see charts and do all sorts of sorting and column copying and that sort of thing. So the 3 steps to run a template, let's remember what they were. Select the template, select the symbol list, press run, and you will get a report. The report pops up in a separate window. I can close that separate window down, it's fine. The report is still available. If we go back to, remember I said EdgeRater, Documents EdgeRater folder over here. Reports are all stored in the reports folder, and so even though I didn't specifically manually say save this report, it has been saved, and it's in play 2015-0530. It's an XLSX file. If you opened it up from within the reports folder and you have Excel on your system, then it's going to open Excel. So I just double clicked on that and it's opening Excel in another window for some reason. Okay, and so here is Microsoft Excel showing me the exact same file. So it looks very, very similar. So useful actually if you have it in Excel and you want to do other things in Excel, like some people are familiar with pivot tables. You can do all kinds of pivots and get more interesting information in Excel. Okay, so that's the Excel file. So reports are always Excel files. Now I'm just going to run this again just because it was very quick. I could actually, instead of running it again, I could just open it from within EdgeRater. This is going to open on the reports folder. In Play, I could just say open that file again, and it will pop up in here. This is the point where what I will want to do. Well, let me just run this once more and get it into a pop-up window. Okay. Okay. I think I pressed the button. What's happening now? Okay. Okay, sorry about that. Still waiting for it to... That's interesting. Huh. So, if you ever see that message come up, by the way, sometimes there will be a... You might see this message. And it will give you opportunity to send a report, which is basically a bug report to EdgeRater. To do that, because I look at all of these reports, not many of them come in anymore because there's not that many bugs left in the system. But obviously we've found one here. What I'm going to do is just close this down and run it again. If you send that report, if you find one of those boxes pops up, send a report, and I can track down the bug and fix it. I don't know who the reports come from, by the way, if you do send one of those in. So don't expect an email back from me saying what the solution is. They are sent anonymously, but I will be able to fix the program, and it will appear in the next update, whenever that is. There's not just one update per month. Sometimes you will get more than one update in a month. But the schedule for templates is set to be one per month. But there might be interim updates, which could be bug fixes or little features that have been added in the meantime. Anyway, I'm running the program again. I'm just gonna run this template again, and let's just see that work. Normally that is super quick. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. That is very interesting. Alright, do this one more time. It's potentially there's a lot going on my computer right now, so it could be something to do with that. Anyway, I'm sure it will be easy to fix. Let's and actually, when you do that on your system, I'm pretty sure you're not going to get that problem, because I have not seen any reports of that. Also, I'm running a pre-release version of the software, so I may have to do some more testing before I push this out to everybody. So what I'm going to do this time is just click on the open, and what I'm going to do is just open the report we previously produced. Okay, and this is now what you'll see when you run a report. When you run the template, it's going to produce a report like this. Okay, now from a report, using a report, there are some things that are useful to know that apply across all kinds of reports. This particular report is essentially a scan that was run looking for stocks that are currently in play in the last n days. You set the number of days in the template info. I set it to 10 in this case, but you could set it to anything. For instance, we're at the end of the month now, so if you wanted to run a report for the last month, you would set that to 20, or however many trading days there are in that particular month. I think there were only 20 trading days this month because we had Memorial Day. I think the average number of trading days in a month is about 21. Okay, so we see the report. Some of the things that you can do in the report are you can click on the heading. So there's a row. In this case, it's row 6, and you'll see that the row has these little drop-down arrows in it. So if you want to do filtering on the report, what you can do is click on one of the drop-down arrows and filter. For instance, if I only want to look at stocks that are above $10, I could say greater than 10. Okay, now all I'm seeing are stocks that are greater than 10. I can also, if I click on in the blank area, it's just going to sort them either ascending or descending. So these are now ascending order, stocks that are greater than 10 in the list. I know this is now a filtered set of results because you see, instead of the drop down arrow here, you've got this little smaller drop down arrow, but you've also got a filter icon in here. So now I know I'm filtering by this column. And once you've done filtering, you can sort by any other columns, and so if I look at the max play column here, I know now that everything that's in this list, even though I'm sorting by max play, is still only stocks that are above $10. So what does in play do? In play is something I think that I like to sort of talk about for people to use to start with, because it's a very simple template to run, and the information it gives you is very valuable because it's telling you what's been moving. You know, out of everything in your list, what has been moving over the time period that you chose. Now, coming to the top of this list, I'm going to take the filter off. If I want to take a filter off one of the columns, I can just click on the drop down and say clear filter. And now I'm looking back at all stocks. Okay, so max play is essentially telling me lowest low to highest high for each of the stocks over 10 days. So in this list of 400 stocks, and it's now sorted by max play, I can see SRPT, AMRN, WLT, MNKD. These are all the ones that had the biggest moves. Doesn't mean that they ended up, after 10 days, that they ended up so much higher than where they started. You'll find that in the open to close column over here. But it means that during that time period, they moved a lot. So could have been something that started off at a certain value, moved up 80%, and then came all the way back down to where it started. That would still give you a max play of 84%. Now, in a report, double clicking on a cell will bring up a chart. So if you were looking at this in the report viewer, which I'm now not because of the problem I had earlier, it would have brought up a chart. So what I'm going to do is just bring up a chart separately and come back over here. Alright, so what you'll find is that now you can start moving around the report by using your cursor key or clicking on the cell. Okay, and the chart will now update, showing you the symbol. The other thing to note is, and this is quite a powerful feature of reports, is that the reports are actually linked to their own chart layouts. So because this particular report is talking about stocks that are in play, which is all about the lowest low to highest high, then there are certain indicators in technical analysis that deal with lowest low to highest high. And so what I want to do by default when I use this template is actually show me a chart with those kind of indicators on. And the way that I make sure the chart has those indicators is I click on this button over here, which is a link to template layout. And you see that's got now an orange background to it. And so now if I start clicking around here, you see the layout now has changed to show me those indicators that I was talking about. For instance, the green over here, the green upper line is your highest high over 10 days. So it's actually dynamically configured the chart to be whatever number of days you've set over here. If you set that to be 252 days, it's basically 1 year's worth of trading, then that green line would be the highest high over the last 252 bars. Okay, so you can you don't need to go and configure your own layout to look at something that's already been pre-configured in the report. But if you didn't want to see this particular layout because it's not interesting beyond what the template is trying to show you, there might be something else of interest. Then what you would do is uncheck this link to template layout and then go and choose your own chart layout. And you might choose the, again, squeeze layout is a good one to look at. And now if I start moving around the report, I'm only seeing the layout is not changing back to this other chart layout. It's just sticking with the squeeze layout. So if you have your own preference, then maybe you don't ever click on link to template layout. Maybe you always have your own layout shown over here. Personally, I normally have this checked in, so I see whatever layout for the chart has been designed for the template, and then if I want to go and look further and do other analysis, I will put other layouts in myself. I will select other layouts and not link it to the template layout, so I can then sort of start browsing around. Okay, so I think going to have time for questions now, because I think we covered everything I wanted to cover, which is creating symbol lists, downloading data, doing intraday updates, changing the screen layout, looking at templates, running a template, looking at reports, and basic charting functionality. So covered quite a lot in 1 hour. I think we did pretty good. And if there are any questions, then I will answer them now. You can ask me a question about what we just looked at, or you can ask me a question about anything else with the program. Be happy to answer. So, okay, yeah, the recording will be available. I will put the recording out today, hopefully. It's all being recorded in Fuse, and also I'm doing a backup recording in Camtasia, so I will push that out to that will go onto the YouTube site. Most of the recordings go on the YouTube site. So again, look at the slides that I had earlier, or go to the website and click on support, and then click on the videos link, and you'll go to the location where the recording is. I'll also send out, if you ever attend one of these webinars and you've registered for it, you'll get an email telling you where that recording is. And I don't normally send that email out to the whole list, so it's always a good idea to sign up for individual webinars if you want to get that email. So pretty much that is it, and if there are no other questions, I think we're done. And thanks for attending. Happy to spend some time with you on Saturday morning. Go and enjoy the rest of the weekend, and I will see you soon. Okay, bye for now.